Viewers, welcome back to Co-Startup on TV Africa Network. If you're joining us for the first time, we have with us in the studio today Dr. Ebenezer. He is the owner as well as the CEO, President of Technology for the Poor. Once again, Dr. welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about what you do? What is Technology for the Poor all about?
Well, when I retired in 2006, I really thought I shouldn't be wasting my time like the usual retirees going and playing golf or going to a country club and all that.
Right.
So I had this idea while I was still teaching at a university to start a non-profit organization, or NGOs as they call them in other countries, to focus on the technology for the poor. So I had to go through all the paperwork and got my, what they call it, 501c3, that is tax deductible organization. So in 2006, I registered and I got the approval from the IRS. And our mission has been to develop, design, innovate, and disseminate simple, appropriate technologies for the poor all over the world. And so at that time, I've already developed several technologies. One is urban agriculture. I'll go through that later on in detail. The other one was small power system for operating agricultural implements as well as small industrial machinery.
Okay.
So with that in mind, I said, let me focus on 2 or 3 simple technologies. There are many others that I could have gone in, but these seem to be some that I wanted to propagate or disseminate. So I started with the pedal power, which we are going to talk later on.
Right.
A simple bicycle, how that can be used for dual purpose, both for transportation and for power production to operate these machines. The second area, which I had some experience, because when I was working in Chicago, I was in charge of the hunger education for the National Evangelical Lutheran Church.
Okay.
And my job was to talk about the root causes of hunger and things like that. So I thought, well, instead of trying to gather money and send it for projects, why not we teach the people to feed themselves? So our motto of Technology for the Poor is teach a farmer or a poor man how to fish. They will never go hungry. If you give them handout fishes, then the next day they are going to be hungry. This is a Chinese proverb. So what we are doing is to teach people how to fish, or through simple technologies.
Right.
One of the things was urban agriculture. Now in the not only in the United States, but also in other parts of the world, the urban sprawl, as they call it, is taking place. I had been to nearly 16 countries. Not all of them are low-income countries. But in every place, I see the construction of shopping centers, apartments, and houses,
high-rises,
industries going on. And most of the time, they take a good arable land. And so the arable land area is shrinking. So how are we going to feed now 7 billion, but soon 9 billion and 10 billion? So I thought about, why not we use what I call the urban wasteland. By that I mean the places where you normally won't be able to grow anything, such as the rooftop of buildings with a flat roof, and unused parking lots or industrial sites which have been abandoned because of whatever reason. Also, the many houses that are being torn down in every city, especially in the United States, but in other countries people make use of even those houses. But here they abandon them and then they demolish them and fill the basement with the debris. It is not a suitable place to grow vegetables unless you bring tons of topsoil and good soil and put it. Even then you're not sure whether that's a clean environment. So in Chicago, when I was working, as I said, for the hunger education, I said, if I can show to the people that we can produce vegetables and fruits on the top of a garage, which was 7-story high garage, and our office complex was 11-story high. So I used to look at that top level of the garage, which was exposed to the sun. Said, suppose, since they are not using it for parking the cars, why not I start a garden? Then came the question, how are you going to grow anything? Are you going to bring tons of soil and put it and make a conventional farm-like thing? I said no. So I got the idea of using the children's wading pools. Two reasons for that. One is it is cheap. And also it's easy to transport and all that. I mean, it's not heavy like wooden boxes and so on. So I bought about 40 of them to begin with, then it multiplied to 90 or so. And then laid them on the surface, the concrete surface, and poked holes on the sides for drainage. Not in the bottom, but on the sides, about 3 inches, because if you put the holes in the bottom, it would drain everything. But if you leave some soil, that saturates, and so it retains the moisture when the top layer dries out. Well, it was 1993 when I started that. And we grew tomatoes, cabbage, eggplants, or brinjals as we call in India, okra, lady's finger, peppers of all kinds, and also some herbs. So when I proved that it is possible to grow vegetables on surfaces or areas which are unusable for farming, that gave me quite a lot of confidence. So I started to promote that within the United States first. That's because we do not have the wading pools are easily available in other countries. So that is the start of my container garden thing. And then when I went to some of the African countries as well as Nepal and others, I saw that they have very rugged areas. They can use the containers, but then I said, instead of putting them flat or in a two-dimensional way, why not I make them grow vertically? Well, the question is, what kind of areas that are suitable for vertical garden? A fellow from England sent me photographs of using gallon jugs and cut off the bottom, invert them and fill them with soil and tie them to a wrought iron fence. So he went 7 tiers. So in a place where nothing would have grown because it was concrete down, he was able to produce lots of greens. I produced cherry tomatoes, also in the in those gallon jugs. Then I thought the plastic that would have been thrown out in many cases, not used. We have also used the 2-liter bottles, where soft drinks come. So that led me to this vertical garden where urban poor or urban population can use their backyard.
Yep.
To if they have fences, chain link fences, they can tie up these things and see
All
how.
along it. And I think, doctor, and I think that is really incredible because you're absolutely right. I do see quite a bit of space, even in my own backyard, where vertical, gardening can be essential. When we come back, we're gonna take another short break. When we come back, we will talk a little bit more about vertical gardening as well as talk about the social responsibility aspect of everything that you do because I really think it's incredible what you're doing. So we'll take another break and we'll be right back.